what we're seeing with Dan Quinn, who obviously understood and read the room and didn't think he was getting a job, and so he pulled his name out of contention to stay the DC there with Dallas. With somebody like Ben Johnson, who got a raise from the Lions, what we're seeing is he looked and said, I don't really envy these jobs. I don't really covet these jobs. I'll sit back. I'll become more valuable. I'll make more money, and then maybe next year during the cycle, I'll have an opportunity to get a job that's more enviable. Now, a job that certainly would be the Dallas Cowboys. Here's Mike McCarthy talking about Jerry Jones and his employment.
As far as my relationship with Jerry, just using his word, we're in an excellent spot. He's the partnership that we have. He's excited about. He told me a number of times this week that he wants me to coach here as long as Coach Landry did, and I said, okay, it's a long time, but I feel really good about our relationships. I think our ability to discuss and disagree is we do a good job of that. So, and I think that's important, because when you get into these situations of free agency and these tough decisions, you got to be able to have those conversations.
Mike McCarthy certainly eating good down in Dallas, it appears. That would mean, by the way, 26 more years for McCarthy as the Cowboys head coach until he's 85 years old if he wants to equal Mr. Landry. But what's your takeaway from what McCarthy said there about his employment?
I think people have lost sight of the ball here in Dallas. I think the conversation is when your quarterback doesn't play well, right? You blame the quarterback. Internally, there's blame being deflected to other places. So the question I'm sure Jerry and Steven are asking themselves is, can Kellen Moore make Dak Prescott a better player? Or are we going down the wrong road here? They gave McCarthy him. They said, you've got to hire him. So when they did that, McCarthy said, okay, you can do that. Dak didn't play well, and they can't get rid of Dak. So they got to look around to say, what's going on here? Now, we saw they fired their offense. They didn't renew their offensive line coach, Joe Philbin, who's a very close friend of McCarthy. They didn't, Skip Peete was on the staff. They let him go. That's 2 offensive coaches down. So you could see the staff's going through some changes. And today they're going to meet with Kellen Moore. And as I said yesterday, I don't think it's a slam dunk Kellen Moore's back on this team. There could have been a chance where if Steve Wilks would have gotten the offensive head coaching job in Carolina, he might have been able to hire Kellen Moore as his offensive coordinator and been able to say that. But I think that's the reality. I think that we're looking at right now is a situation where how do we make Dak better? And I think McCarthy, and I can't speak for him, but this is just my guess. I think McCarthy's saying, hey, if I had my guy in there coaching him, Brian Schottenheimer, Dak would play better and we wouldn't turn the damn ball over.
Well, it's a perfect setup, partner, because does Mike McCarthy want to call plays? If he does, that could potentially mean Kellen Moore is the next one out. Let's hear from McCarthy.
I'm just getting started in the evaluation. I'm not calling plays this week. I think we clearly had things situated where I was very confident in how the offense was not only being called, but how the game plans were being built and so forth. But I get the result. And it's because of the result that we had that I have to come in here and answer these questions. But like I said, every coach, including myself, is being evaluated.
Okay. Kellen Moore interviewed for potential head coach. He's 34 years old. He's known as the joystick here on the show. You're not blown away by the sequences. Let's put it that way. His sequencing as far as play calling, I would say. It would be interesting if all of a sudden Kellen Moore, jumps over somebody like we talked about earlier, Bieniemy, Steve Wilks, and others. It's kind of a dicey situation there right now with McCarthy because McCarthy inherited Kellen Moore.
Right. I'm not sure Kellen Moore is going to be the offensive coordinator in Dallas next year. I'm not sure that's 100%. I used to believe that Steven and Jerry had his back through everything, but I'm not sure that's the case because, what often happens in this is you're not going to blame the player. So who are you going to blame? What are you going to do? You can't blame the player. You got to blame somebody, right? So I get the answer that, maybe they need to make a change there. Maybe Dak needs another voice in his ear that could help him, that could give him some sense of of explaining what we're doing and why we're not meeting the challenges that we have to meet. We got to get our offense to where we don't turn the ball over and we match our. Now we got Quinn back. That's great. Dan Quinn's back, so we know what we're going to be able to do there. But we've got to get this offense to where when we go play a good team like we played San Francisco, we can score more than 12 points.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.